Good afternoon, everyone. Good to see you all. Thank you for joining us on a very intense first day at Big Data London. Appreciate you probably just want to get home or have a few drinks, so on and so forth, after the first day. But great to have you all here. So today, we're going to spend a little bit of time with our partners, bol.com, out of the Netherlands. Talk a bit about how they've turned their in-house data infrastructure into a high-scale, AI-ready foundations. We're going to talk a bit about their journey from build versus buy and why they made that decision and how they went about doing that, and some of the work that had to go into enabling that, essentially. We'll start off with some introductions. So, Kushal, MD for RudderStack out here in EMEA. That's all I'll say. You don't need to know me, you need to get to know these guys and what they do. So I'll hand over to Koen and Lars, and maybe just a quick intro to yourselves, your roles and responsibilities, and maybe, as if it's a first day at a new job, a fun fact about yourselves too. Something the audience might not know.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Koen. I'm a senior manager of engineering within bol.com, responsible for the Shop Insights platform, where we have, let's say, our big data engineering teams, but also experimentation within Bol. And a fun fact, when I was a youngster, I didn't get, let's say, the idea to become a techie in the end. I want to be the professional football player, like maybe some of you. Had the chance to play against some real legends, like Clarence Seedorf, but that was way back, so happy to be in tech.
Nice. So I'm Lars. I'm a staff engineer at Bol. And basically that means I go around the company working on various strategic projects. And my latest project has been involved in what we're going to talk about. As for a fun fact about me, I've been stuck on an uninhabited island.
Nice. Great, cool. Thank you guys. Before we kick off, I think there's good to set a bit of tone about who RudderStack are. This is not going to be a sales pitch. We're not going to demo the platform or do anything, but a bit about where our history is and why we exist. So traditionally, a lot of you or most of you would have heard of a customer data platform, or CDP. And oftentimes that's something that's linked to marketing, MarTech teams that are kind of pushing data into a black box, doing something with it, journey orchestration, and delivering some use cases and activating it. We are coupled into that corner, but I don't think we are a CDP. We're more of a CDI, a customer data infrastructure. And that really goes to show in the sense of who are the personas and the people that we generally talk to and that use RudderStack. We don't really have any marketers using RudderStack. Marketers don't reach out to us. We are more focused on the technical folks, the data engineering, the folks that are really consumed with how do we collect data, the right data, clean it, govern it, and put it in a structure and a format that is usable and drives ROI for the business. So what you see in this massive iceberg is at the top is what you see traditional CDPs doing in a black box, and kind of you do all of that great stuff. But there's a ton of other stuff that goes foundationally before that, upstream, that needs to be done to get the value from the data. And whether you use the new Gen AI piece of getting value from AI or whatever it may be, it's really foundational that you have those capabilities in place. And so RudderStack does all of that, but it does it in a warehouse native way. So we don't store your data, we don't persist your data, we are literally the plumbing and the infrastructure for collecting, cleaning, governing, providing observability, and then pushing it to where you need it. Whether it's downstream business tools or into your warehouse to then enrich and build a customer 360 to then reactivate and transform and use. So there's a ton going on there, but this is important context for the conversation we're going to have with Bol. So just a bit about us and what we do compared to what you might have seen in the CDP landscape. So just to start off, we have obviously prepped some slides, so this is not off the cuff, but this is important just to give you some context as to the conversation we're having and give you a bit more value about what Bol's journey has been. Koen, I think we talked about this, but it would be great if you can give some context as to who bol.com are.
Yep.
For those that don't know bol.com, I have family in the Netherlands. I have Dutch family. No one uses Amazon. Everyone in the Netherlands loves Bol, basically. You can ask any Dutch person. But give us some context about who Bol are, your journey as a company, and then maybe a little bit about your journey and your data infrastructure and what you've been doing to build what you had up until now. I'll give you this so you can kind of give some context there.
Cool. So I think for the non-Dutchies or the non-Belgian people, you might not know Bol. Bol.com is, let's say, the Amazon of the Netherlands and Belgium, with over 70 million recurring customers. Founded in 1999 in a bit more countries than only the Netherlands and Belgium. But in the end, after the dot-com crash, we had a sort of restarting up in the Netherlands. Started as an online bookstore, but now it's, let's say, the biggest e-commerce company around. 50,000 partners using our platform, with a GMV of over 6 billion over the last year. But also, I think in the last 5 to 7 years, retail media is booming. So let's say all the major e-commerce companies, if you look at Alibaba, Temu, Amazon, they all use retail media. Sponsor products, branded shelves. So this is really important for us. And that's, I think, one of the cases where we shift into a new measurement platform. Around 4,000 employees in the Netherlands and Belgium, with over 1,000 working in product and tech. So we are a true tech company. Yeah.
A little bit of what would be great to hear a bit about is the scale of what you do from a tech perspective. The type of events that you are collecting, what you were trying to do, what are the measurements that you care about, and what are the challenges in the scale over the last 10 years for the in-house built solution that you've had. So if there's anything context you could give there, that would be great.
Of course, of course. I think we started with platform interaction data around a decade ago. Started mainly for experimentation, A/B testing, but then it evolves into personas, recommendations on the site. And like I said, 5-6 years ago, when we really boomed into retail media, it evolved into, let's say, not only a behavioral measurement system, but also transactional data. So every single click, every single viewable impression, which is an ad, we need to real-time deduct it from the credit. So I think that's
definitely
how it evolved.
Yeah, and perhaps also good to mention that Bol is a very data-driven company at heart. We use a ton of data to make all of our decision-making, whether that's on the team level or on the board level. A lot of that data is driven by our customers' behavior.
Yeah. The scale that we talked about when we were going through this engagement, like partnership with RudderStack, one of the things that I was quite surprised at is one of the things that we were testing for is us being able to handle something like 150,000 events a second. This is the kind of scale that they're dealing with from an events level perspective, just ingestion. Never mind what they do with it and then all the work that goes into kind of governing that data, kind of observing all of that data, everything else. So are you expecting that to grow rapidly as well? Because I think that was the initial test for us. Can we handle that scale as well?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think we are right now handling around 1 billion events per day. So every single click, every single view, impression, add to basket, add to wish list, everything that we measure, in the end it's 1 billion events a day. So I think that's why we need a scalable infrastructure around measurement.
So you guys had been building this out for at least 10 years, the structure. No doubt we talked about this, that technical debt comes into play. Mm-hmm. You're kind of building on top of everything else, trying to go at speed, but then you're kind of leaving things behind. What was the evolution of what you had over that 10 years? And where did it come to a point where you're like, okay, this is not possible for us to maintain and develop and grow on top of? Yeah. What was that journey like in the last 10 years?
I think as Koen already mentioned, about a decade ago we built our own in-house system for collecting data, and at the time was very innovative. just to be able to enable stuff like experimentation or recommendations, as we previously had already talked about. And that worked good for the time. Also grow out in use cases across the company. As I mentioned, we're a very data-driven company, so we started adding more use cases on top of it, and it grew out and became this thing that is very foundational to how our company works and how our company uses data to decide. And then more recently, we started feeling those growing pains. And there's lots of reasons why we outgrew that system, but I think two are worth mentioning specifically. So the first is the system had a sort of a strategy of collecting a big bag of data, try to collect as much information as possible about whatever happened with our customers, because someone somewhere might need it sometime, which is a pretty good strategy, but you can also see where it quickly starts falling apart, because rather than collecting information, we just collected a bunch of data points. So as an example, instead of saying, hey, a customer added something to the basket, we just collected the whole basket state.
Yeah.
And when they mutated the basket, we collected the whole basket state again. And an analyst, which can be someone from a very skilled engineer who can work with data very well, to someone with basic SQL skills, and any role in between, has to then start reasoning backwards. Okay, what actually happened? Did someone add something to the basket, or remove it, or modify an item in the basket? And you can see where this starts becoming fault-prone or really hard to reason and do so correctly. And the second reason is that this system was very tightly coupled in all of the components, while being very low in cohesion. Basically meaning when something changed, everyone was affected by the change, and very little people actually felt the benefits of a change. More so, they were probably inconvenienced by that.
Yeah. And the structure of the teams that were responsible for this data. Tell us a bit about the structure of the internal teams that were responsible for the collection of the data, and then feeding that into the business teams that needed to do something with it, activate some use cases. How were you guys structured at the moment, or how have you been structured of recent?
I think it's three big pillars. We have, let's say, the shop teams, the front-end teams, who are, in our name, the producer. So they are using the SDKs of right now RudderStack, implement it, create all the taggings referring to a true tag plan, doing the transformations, and then it comes to our domain. We are the orchestrator. We make sure that all the raw data is clean, deduplicated, bot filtered, everything, to make it accessible for our internal consumers. So the three pillars are producing, orchestrating, and consuming.
And with the platform that you had built yourselves, the responsibility was with these three teams alone, or were there business teams responsible and had a decision on how that was built or what it needed to do? Because there's that from a CDP or data perspective, there's always the marketing teams that typically are like, we're going to own this activation piece, so therefore we should deal with the journey orchestration, dealing with the data, etc. But for you guys, it's much more of a technical, from what I see, technical teams focused on owning that piece.
Yeah. I would say so. So obviously we spend a lot of time talking to all of our stakeholders when building out the new system, and those again range from various different roles with various different needs, but we managed to translate that into a coherent event model, and that really allowed us to apply or like really facilitate all of those different use cases, no matter where in the company they are.
And with the pain and the challenges that you had with the in-house built solution over many years, what was the driver for someone saying, hey, we need to look at this and look at if it's feasible for us to continue with this or go out to market and find something that would be suitable for our growth? Where did that come from? And what was the stakeholder management around who is responsible for searching for that or deciding this is not fit for purpose anymore, so therefore we're going to make a decision on this area over here. Where did that decision come from, and who led that journey of like the build versus buy, I guess?
I think with a lot of companies, it's always top-down. There is a new CEO or a CTO or data officer that says, okay, we cannot rely on the data anymore. So then they are the drivers for the change. With us, I think it was the other way around. The consumers didn't have, let's say, the same pair of glasses to look at the same data. So if you combine, let's say, the attribution of a marketing team and you combine it with the attribution of another marketing team, sometimes it was 80% of the attribution and sometimes it was 300% of the attribution. So I think mostly our consumers were the driver for the change. And I think it was around 2 years ago we did an audit to see if our platform, our previous platform, was scalable enough, or if we could change it to make it, let's say, resistant for the upcoming years. And it was not. We knew it already, but it was good to have, let's say, the audit with it.
Yeah.
So then we were in the position to do the make or buy.
Yeah, and with that report and with that whole make or buy decision, we did a lot of stakeholder analysis on like, hey, what are we now actually using it for, and what is everyone wanting? And with that, I think we realized that there's two key components to what we want in the system, and one of them is the data engineering part, moving data around, which we're really good at Ball, and the other part is the collection side, and ensuring that we have quality data and that we can really rely on it to start making our decisions.
Yeah.
And this is also where we think like this new system is so important in the way that we capture information rather than a big bag of data, and that information is consistent, and then it has a specific meaning to it that can be easily digested and has an easy mental model so that the data is easy to work with.
Yeah.
And that again was something so specific that we're not as good at, that we decided to buy a solution for that.
Yeah. I think one of the things we can talk about features and functions all the time of like this capability, we need this, that, and the other. But what were the big things that were a must-have if you're going to market and you're going to bring a solution or a partner on board to deal with data? Data ownership is a big thing, right? So like, you know, it's your IP. It's the biggest, most important thing that a company typically has nowadays. What were the critical things that you're like, if we're going to go look for a partner, these are the things that are a must-have. These are the things that we need to be very sure about that this partner can handle, their technology or otherwise. What were the things that were most important to you as you were going out to market looking for a partner that would be able to enable what you're doing now and going forward?
I think a very big point for us was the governance of our data model. As I mentioned, we really wanted to reshape the way that we capture information. Yeah. So one of the things that we did is we decided to start measuring factual things that happened with our customers or the customer's intent. So rather than collecting the basket state, we started collecting a product has been added to the basket or a product has been clicked. And this also has a very set structure on what we expect this event to have, whether it's optional or nullable or required, and what kind of data types there are. And ensuring that each event has that specific set of properties according to a tracking plan is the basis of the information that we capture.
Yeah. It's atomic.
And that's the second part, indeed. Yeah. So we really want each event to be self-containing. So you can look at an event and it has all the information you need it to in order to interpret it. So it tells you what it is about, where on the page it happened, and all attributes that are needed to sort of really understand what the customer did in that instance.
And how important was data ownership and scale? So one is that piece, we talked about it when we first started engaging around, we can't go and have our data sitting in a black box somewhere else. You can't push it out there and then we kind of use it. And then the other thing is obviously scale. You guys are a hugely scaled business and like you're growing year on year.
Yeah.
How critical was that and how did you test those things for you guys? Was it purely just a case of, hey, if you're warehouse native and you're not going to persist and store it, that's okay? Or were there things specific to that were important or around the other pieces as well?
Well, as you mentioned, we did that whole test with the 150,000 ops per second.
Yeah.
Why was it that number?
Based on...
Because there was a specific reason around bot traffic, right?
Indeed.
Yeah.
So it was a guesstimation based on our previous system that we have that fired a whole bunch of events. And then also we're, as an e-commerce company, we really have a ton of automated traffic, which can be bots, which can be scrapers or anything in between. And sometimes these are very quiet and all of a sudden they can like really burst in traffic. So for us it's really important that no matter what our customer traffic looks like, including bots and all other kinds of customers, we needed to be able to capture those events so that we can understand what is happening on our platform.
I think that was a big thing. So one of the things that the guys put us through as a company was, can we handle that level of event data? Because when those spikes happen with bot traffic, the risk is if you're not able to ingest all of that, you lose actual valuable customer data as well. So that
And money.
Because I think, I don't know if we can share in a public forum, but like if you're down for a few hours or half a day, how much was it? Can you share? Or?
Enough to make us worry.
Yeah.
Enough to make us
money.
worry.
A lot of money. And, hundreds of thousands of euros if they're down for a few hours. So that data ownership piece and not losing data is really critical and important. And so that was where the test came from, to be able to manage and handle that as well. The thing I would say from my perspective, that taking it back to RudderStack, is having partners like Bol.com or organizations that have complex environments, complex needs and use cases really up-levels what we do as well. Mm-hmm. So I always say it, the value that we get from these guys is not the check at the end of the year or the ARR, that's not really it. What it is that they've helped us develop a lot of things on our platform that are necessary for them, but we see that within our customer base it's really important. So we actually built out a bot management part of our platform specifically for this need. But all of our e-commerce customers, all of our other customers find it super valuable. We built out more of a granular observability layer as well around all events, so you can see what's happening with events throughout its life cycle. So there's a ton of things that I would love to publicly say thank you to you guys, because it really up-levels us and pushes our platform forward for them, but also for the rest of our customer base. So I think this was one of the most, I'd say, engaged processes, probably a year long, but it's testament to the complexity and level of support they needed from us. But it worked out really well, I think, and we're still on that journey. We have a bit of a Q&A. I'll start with one question myself, and then please, anyone else who's got any questions. I think the question for me is, we've talked about all the things that are maybe not sexy, of like just governance and all these simple things that are, in the end, the most valuable pieces. What does the future hold? And we talked about foundations for AI, etc. What does the future hold once you implement and you get this solid foundation? Where are you looking to as an organization?
Yeah, I think we can divide it in, let's say, short-term goals. We only been working with RudderStack as of end of January this year.
Yeah.
So we signed a contract in January, starting to build a foundation to, in the end, replace our current system. And we accelerate huge. We set a 2-week period for all the front-end engineers to do all the tagging on all our platforms. So that's web shop, that's Android, that's iOS. So in just 2 weeks, with a bunch of front-end engineers, we were able to tag every single core event on our platform. So the short-term goal is making sure that every single consumer is using our new Insights platform. So, and in the end, sunset the old one. And I think that will be a cheerful moment for us, for us all.
Yeah.
And I think for the long term, maybe you could elaborate a bit more on that.
Sure. Yeah. So just to add on the short medium term, I think a big goal for us is that just to have better quality data and really allow us to make better decisions based upon that. And then I think that's where it starts. And if you then look at the long term, use that higher quality data to enable other use cases. There can be like better recommendations or more personalized shopping, but then also obviously with AI, enable lots of use cases that like can really benefit from having much clearer to interpret data or work with data, and then enable a bunch of use cases for that.
Yeah. Maybe to add, maybe this is not, let's say, future, but I think as one of the key takeaways of having a new partner, building a new platform, first of all, be bold. Dare to make the decision to start all over again and find some partners who are not just a third party, but really a partner to work along. Collab with them, cooperate with them, spend your time learning each other. I think having a true partner instead of just a supplier, that's so beneficial for a company, for us as the consumer, but I think also for you, Kushal.
Yeah. Appreciate the plug. Thank you. Any questions from the audience at all? Anything you'd like to ask, please? Do you have a mic?
Thank you. Very, very nice talk. You mentioned something earlier about how it was difficult to reason adding and...
A little bit closer.
Oh, sorry, this is better.
Oh, yeah.
So you talked about earlier about having to difficulty reasoning, people adding items to the shopping cart and then offloading that, and it was very difficult for you to reason what people were doing with the shopping cart. Mm-hmm. How does RudderStack help you with this?
So one of the major things we did is really change the information that we capture through this new platform. In part it is to the different shape of the data and the different semantics of the data that we capture. But crucially, the data governance for that, the whole rule set of defining a tracking plan, defining which fields are required or nullable and what the data types are and which enum values you can expect. That really helps us to safeguard data consistency. And with very large clients like a website and Android and iOS app that are pretty big, data consistency across pages, across those different clients is very key for us.
Any other questions?
I think at time almost. There's one more.
There's one.
Got a couple of minutes.
Hello. Thank you for the presentation.
Welcome.
I'm a big fan of bol.com. I live in Belgium, so good work, guys.
Here.
Kind of two questions. One, since you started the partnership with RudderStack, what is the biggest challenge that you've seen that maybe you didn't anticipate before it started? And my second question is more relating to how has bol.com or this project, how does it differentiate? Because I'm guessing your biggest competitors in the Netherlands is Coolblue. So
Yeah.
those are my two questions.
Yeah. I think the biggest challenge is, even though our consumers were a bit fed up with the previous system, but if you change, let's say, the whole way of measuring events and make it accessible for consumers, it's not comparing apples with apples. We measure a completely different kind of events. And I think this is maybe the biggest challenge. It's the stakeholder management. Make sure that people know that the new data set is the right data set. But even if they are fed up with the old, and there is a gap between clicks or impressions between the new and the old. I think this is the biggest challenge.
And if I can add to that, I think a big challenge with our stakeholders again has been interviewing them for their use cases and their needs, but their mindset being really founded in the current system and the way that it worked. So really getting all those requirements out of the context of that current system has been a huge challenge.
Okay, I think we need to wrap up.
Just one last thing. We have a drinks reception from 5 to 7:30 at the Melody restaurant. You're all welcome to come, connect with each other. It's only about a 2-minute walk away, so please join us. You can talk to the guys here.
Have some extra
and meet some
Q&A.
of the team. Yeah. Thank you guys. Thank you for joining.
Thank you.